program. My name's Rob Mould and I'm the BDM for WA. This morning we'll be talking about just covering off on the Gates North American and Australian catalogue. Just some housekeeping. You will all be on mute. So if you have a question, there's a little box. You can just click the Q&A and type a question in, and we'll get back to you either through the program or talk to you at the end, depending on how we're going for time and everything. But it should be all good, and we will crack on to it. So most of you will be familiar with the Gates industrial catalogue. There we go. But we'll just touch base on what we covered last week, which was working through that. You should be able to understand and identify all the thread types that we commonly use and how to best use the tools that Gates provides. If you still aren't sure or you need some help with that, just feel free to reach out to your local Gates guy and we will help you on that. So we want you to start looking at the catalogue as being a tool that you can utilise in your day-to-day business. Not just to hold up the laptop and keep it, at the right position while you're working from home, but actually as a valuable tool that the more you use, the more you'll get from it. I sort of equated a bit to the like being like a Excel spreadsheet. The more you work in Excel, the easier it becomes and the more things you find that it can do for you. So what we're going to do is in this session, we're just going to work through how we can navigate through this section, look at some of the hose information, some of the nomenclature aspects of our naming, and helping you to find the right information that you need when you need it. And like it says there, keep your catalogue close by, reference it every chance you get. You'll actually find that there's a bit more information in there than you probably even thought about, and if you it should be your first port of call. Most of this stuff that Gates will have will be covered in there. Right, okay, move on. So, like we said, it's the North American range. We don't carry the entire range in Australia. The Australian range reflects the marketplace and the demands for the products in our market, but it shows you what is available and where we can access it and bring it in. It can arrive on indent. You can forward order. There's lots of opportunities there. Just reach out, like I said again, to your Gates personnel, and we'll be happy to help out. The table of contents is obviously at the start of the book, and you can open that up, and they're basically covered in straightforward and easy terms. It's not showing up so great on my screen. I hope it's showing up better on yours. But the highlighted key topics, they reflect either our new or some upgraded systems or features and benefits within our product range. And so they're highlighted for you to have a look at and easily find. Of course, we highlight our Megasys hose, the new MXT, the new multi-master Megaflex, and the abrasion resistant covers. So they also, the comments will also show the hose specification tables, so you can pull them down into spiral, wire braid, thermoplastic, transfer, and just go straight to those pages and have a look at and locate the exact hose that you're looking for there. We do like to keep it relatively straightforward and relatively simple, so we can find it easily. Nice, we go through there. Right. So most of the first section in section 8 is product and marketing. The slides that you see here should just go. Slides that you see here are representative of what's available in that section. It's good information, particularly if you're new to hydraulics, and it will cover the most of the sections on what's available and some interesting points about the key features of the hose.
Rob, your audio is just coming in and out a little bit. I'm not sure if you're moving away from the microphone at all.
No, yeah, I'll try something. Try this. Oh, okay, let's see how we go now. Sorry about that. So, generally with the first section with the hoses, you'll see the standard format for all the hose product lines, and it's kept consistent through there. The main items, of course, that we look for are the specific applications, either so the recommendations, where the hoses are approved for or best suited for, and then the material that the construction of the hose, so tube, reinforcement and cover. Down the bottom, you'll see where it says other nodes. That tends to be within the catalogue all the MISHA for flame retardants and resistance, and also anything that's else is specifically applicable to that hose or that series. So in this instance, with the M2T, you'll see it's tested to 600 impulse cycles. Now the coupling recommendations, those coupling recommendations are for all the gauge couplings that suit that hose. They are not limited, it's not in any particular order as best choice or best fit. It just gives the range that's available. What we do recommend, and I'll keep stressing this through the webinar, is for all couplings, utilise the Gates eCrimp on, particularly on the mobile eCrimp. It's just been reformatted. It's an amazing tool, and you can go into that, put your hose selection, and it will bring up all the details that you'll need for that, which couplings you require, which die sets will suit. It's a really, really good tool at the moment. Just move to the next page. So underneath the generic the description above, we tend to break it down now into a bit more detail. We quite often see on the left where it says the Gates automotive part number. That part number will appear on some hoses. That's not tended to be used so much with us in our market in Australia, but heavily utilised by the automotive customers, particularly in the US. So those part numbers are applicable to them. We have the description, which usually identifies the type of the hose, and the packaging size that it will come in, followed by a product number. At the start of the book, there's our standard packaging range. So the indicators there will tell you what's available in that pack and what we can produce, and of course then the dimensions and the working pressures for the hose. Just a note on the bend radius. The bend radius is actually that the radius required to bend to a 90-degree angle, and the diagram there is a little bit misleading because it does show like a 180-degree bend, but we're actually talking about a 90-degree bend for bend radius. So this one's just to be sure about the abbreviations that we should be familiar with within our group and within our product range. We talk about the EFG for our spirals, M for the Megaflex range of hose, wide braid, and G for the global industry specification. So the ley line has a real high level amount of information on it every metre or so. With the suffixes of course, you see there on the left, if it's XTF, it's an extra tough cover. H for the higher temperatures, L for low temperature, though we don't tend to do much of that in Australia, and so on. And then you also see within there the number, and that will indicate the pressure in thousands of PSI. One thing you also see on that ley line, and it's not up on the screen, but you should take note of it, is the coupling specification. So the actual ley line will actually show you the coupling specification, little diagram showing a crimper head and a G or a GS relative to what that hose will use. So there's a lot of information on it. The different colours of the ley line will also indicate what pressure rating it's applicable to. Quickly, we'll just go through the crimping information that's found there. There's a lot of information in the section B relating to crimpers and the dies and the equipment that goes with it. Next week, or the next session on Monday the 31st of August, we'll be covering off a lot more information about crimpers, but this is a very, very handy section to go to select the crimper, the power source, the dies that you need, and put a package together for either for yourself or for a workshop, depending on what their requirements are. Covers all the options, including the pumps that's required, and the accessories that will go with it. It's in the nice glossy section, so it's nice and easy to see and work with and deal with. So next week we'll have a bit more. So next seminar we'll have a bit more in depth, but that's a good section to go there, and all the information's there. In section C covers all the technical information. Now today we're not going to go through every section within section C. It's probably a bit too much, and I'll be here and I'll be as dry as anything, and your guys' ears will be numb. But what we will do is we'll look at the highlighted ones there, and we'll go through those. But as I said before, there's a lot of information that's available in the technical sections and within the product sections within this catalogue. It's a really, really handy resource, and I encourage you to use it as much as you can. So we do reiterate the information on C1, which is stamped, taking into account the size, the temperature, application, getting that to be an almost automatic reflex when you're actually helping either select a hose or guide a customer in the hose. Really important that we get that, and there is an onus on us in Australia to actually guide the customer and have an understanding of what they want to do and achieve that. We just can't hope for the best. It's on us to actually provide the best hose for the application. We also, which is a really handy section, there's a nice table there on C4, C6, and you'll see the hydraulic hose selection with the industry standard specification. So if you look at the table on the right-hand side, and the left-hand column will actually be the industry specification. So we've got the ISO R15 there, SAE 100 R15, and you can see the hoses that with gates that apply to that industry standard, and that works all the way down through. So we then just go on to the next slide, and again, this table here is just it highlights the usage in the US for the marine application. So you'll see DMV, Jemisha Lloyd's, ABS, and their and their US Coast Guard qualifications. So those approvals are available, and this was a handy reference for the guys in the US that are using these all the time, but also us here in Australia. Also bear in mind that Gates is a global company, and there are more approvals if it's relevant to a region available, and you can reach out to Gates to contact us for copies of certificates and stuff like that. So whether it's FRAS in Australia or a military spec or coming out of the NATO or whatever you need to do, those are available. But this is just a quick handy guide to have a look at what range of hoses we have, what fittings suit them for a DMV specification or an ABS specification. Handy to have and quick and ready. So this is a little section C, that I find really particularly handy, and particularly when we're talking with customers new to production assemblies or setting up in a plant. Gates is coming into a plant, help them out with their overall repair work, is to start using the items that are found in this section for best practice for building assemblies, but also for them to start running some build sheets within their facility. So, if you've got, a bit of mobile equipment, and the plants are even a bit of fixed equipment, and the hose assemblies that are coming off, we start building a build sheet. Then we have consistency. We have best practice all the time when we're manufacturing assemblies. And there's a strong note there, and it comes that just remember to add a little bit of length into your assembly. Too short, we can end up in a bit of strife. So coupling pull out or other phase. So working through the system, using that the coding system to give you an idea of what the hose is, what the fittings is, and the overall length. So building build sheets, the best thing to make life easier for the end user, and trying to help eliminate mistakes and ensure that the right hose is using the right application and things are done safely. One of the things I think we can all agree on is that using and installing a hose as it should be designed to be used will extend its life. So it's a really handy thing to be working with end users, working with customers, looking at routing and just seeing if you can improve the routing. You can improve the routing, you can extend the life, you can make things a little bit safer for your customer, and you're actually adding value beyond just I'm selling a hose and assembly and I'm out the door. So have a good look at that. Improper routing, like I said, it's one of the major causes of hydraulic hose failure. Time and time again, it's it's wear, or it's actually torquing or twisting the hose. Putting a twist in a hose that's moving will reduce its life by about 80%. It's just an incredible way to just add some value to your customer. So here's just the tables for the coupler selection. Oops, excuse me. And it just shows the nomenclature of how everything works. You see in the red in the table there an example of a Gates fitting part number, and below it will be the show you how that fitting is made up. So if I go to the next page, you'll get a much better example of that. Go to the next page. And that's just your standard coupling or stem description. So the first number always relates to the hose ID. So in this instance, it's -8. The stem type, which is G, which relates to our mega current fittings, and then the thread side, a 1/2 inch -8. The female, F for a female swivel, J for JIC, and X for swivel. So really quite straightforward and quite standard within our business. You'll see that across all our fittings and across even our adapters. It's a straightforward. It's quite logical. Makes it easy for us and our customers to understand what we're looking at. Here's the example again for a 2-piece fitting, and you'll see again a -8 hose with the stem type, which is the global spiral, and we use that on our spiral hoses. And then again, the thread size being a female, and the FOR for flat post O-ring, and X again for a swivel. Below we have the ferrule description that will go with that. Again, the dash size for the size of the hose, the stem type GS, and then the assembly steps. 1 is non-sky, and 2 is a sky fitting. Now, within gates, you will see predominantly something like 8 GSS1. It will predominantly be a 1, and that's because most of it, the vast majority of our hoses are non-sky. In fact, we do non-sky hoses from -6 through to -48. So, you know, a 3-inch non-sky. We do have some specialised hoses that we still skive, and they tend to be industry specific, and examples of those are BOP assembly hoses and some of the oil and gas products. Further on for that, you've got the F for ferrule, which so quite clear that it's a ferrule, and then the reinforcements, which shows you the number of wires, so the degree of wires. So -2 for 2 wire and 4 for 4 wire. Right, so most of this was covered last week with the thread identification with Nick, or the week before, sorry. But I just wanted to highlight that the thread charts there, where it says page C27, these are really handy little charts to have. So you can go on the left-hand side, you can see the type of thread that you're looking at, and then across by going across and finding the size of the thread, and then correspondingly the dash size that Gates will use in its fitting range. That's available on PDF, so print that out, you can laminate it, you can put it up with your fittings. Handy thing to have in the workshop, just to look at that. It's particularly if you're having to identify a thread and then look at it and convert it to a Gates one over there. So really handy. If you don't have that in a PDF, reach out to your local Gates representative, and we can arrange that for you. It really works well. If you've got a thread and plug kit, even that's even better, and it makes your life so much easier in the workshop. One of the things that I think people don't actually realise about our catalogue is that there's a full chemical resistance section, which is incredibly handy to use. So have a look at C59, go and have a look, see if the chemical that you're looking to convey is in there, and it's the first place to start. Now you see on the left our rating scale, you know, 1 for excellence resistance, 2 for good resistance, and X not recommended. But there's a dash, the testing recommended. Sometimes we haven't tested that for that particular chemical, or it's been tested, but this current version of the catalogue doesn't record it. So reach out to your local Gates representative. We have fluid power engineering, which we can liaise with, so we can either get it tested, or they may have, like I said, the test results already. They're just not published, so it's not possible to find out. It's worth checking this chemical resistance chart if you've got a new customer or they're changing their hydraulic oil. Not all hydraulic oils or fluids are hydraulic the same. So particularly, a classic example of this is if you're working in or around, in aviation business. So aviation uses a phosphate ester fluid. It's flame resistant, so it doesn't catch on fire, but it requires a special tube to make the hose material resistant to it. It's worth checking, having a look, and just ensuring that the hose that you're going to supply is resistant to the product you're going to convey. And probably the other thing to just bear in mind is ensuring that the cover material is resistant to any environmental fluids or products that it may come into contact with. So, a classic example is a wash down hose, sitting in a pool of maybe a caustic solution, or hose being sprayed with hydraulic oil, or gets diesel on it or whatever. So just have a look at the tube and don't forget the cover. So the longer you can make the cover survive, the longer the hose will live as well. If you're not sure about anything, please feel free to reach out to Gates, and we'll have Fluid Power coming in on board with that. Probably the section that probably needs to be highlighted considerably, particularly in some of our mining states, is torque specs and best practices. And we quite often will see some fittings. You'll see, particularly JIC, you'll see a split seat in the female. And that's generally because we've got some great big rugby player on it, giving it a tweak as hard as he can to tighten it up, and so we see it. So there's a whole guide for actually looking at how we torque it, and there's a table there that's based off the SAE standard table for actually torque rates for a JIC fitting. Or an SAE 45, whatever that fitting happens to be. And some other products, I suppose we're a bit lucky now. We've got the improved nut. Is that in some products you start to see some nuts failing, and generally what we find is that it's never under torqued. It's always over torqued. Everybody gives it a little bit too much. Just a little note. These torque ratios, these torque specifications, they're based on a dry nut and dry seal. So if that seal's been lubricated, it makes it a little bit easier, and then you can over torque that fitting quite simply. Yeah, just a little point all the time. Just guys to watch their torquing rates. Oh, so now we'll just come into the sections D through to S, and this is all about the couplings. So we'll just have a look at that. And then, just like hoses, the number of fittings that we've come across and the styles will seem like a lot. So knowing where to go, where to find them, and having a basic understanding of them helps us go a long way. Ideally, we start with knowing our hoses, and then looking at the family of couplings that will fit with us. The table of contents are laid out pretty easy. There's you can use this to go to them, but just bear in mind that in the catalogue, there's a little tab on the side, color-coded tab, and you can scroll, just with your thumb, just go down and find that section that you're particularly looking for. You see that, excuse me. One of the new additions to the catalogue this year, and I like this a lot, is that all the hose types that are compatible with that range of couplings is shown at the start of the coupling range. So it's shown in the diagram. You can see with the global spiral all the types of hoses that are there on the left that are available for it. For mega crimp, which hoses we use for the mega crimp, and then of course for the C5, C5, CXH, and that range, the fittings that are available for them. See what I was talking before about with the color-coded tab, and you can see that highlighted tab on the left-hand side of each picture, and it just highlights the appropriate section that you can just quickly find that mega crimp couplings or global spiral or whatever you're looking for in there. One thing we really want to stress, and I'll particularly talk about this myself, is that a hydraulic hose is an engineered system. All the components for that system are engineered to work together. So that hose with the right fitting, the right crimp specification, and even the right crimper can help make that hose a complete and fail-safe assembly. Now, we don't want to be in the position of mixing and matching and this fitting. Yep, it's a braided coupling, and we can use that, and off we go. Everything is designed to work together to extend the life. We're very proud and very conscious that we are class leading. So the mega crimp with a braided hose, we're looking for 600,000 cycles. So we want to do it confidently and clearly position ourselves as being class leading products, and that is by designing and engineering a complete system. Even if you're not sure using the catalogue and you think, but you're not 100% sure, just check. Now, again, like I said before, the eCrimp on your mobile phone, it's an easy tool to use to actually just show you straight away which coupling type or family you should be using with that particular hose. It will lead you to the exact right coupling or stem type that you should be using. Don't assume, don't think, just know, and just cover yourself with that. You'll see this, and it tends to, and again, on all the couplings, and it relates to the automotive configuration and part numbers that they use in the automotive system. Myself, I don't use it a lot, and I don't know if anybody else in Australia would use it a lot. We tend to use the part description, like a 8G-8FJX, for example. But this one is quite simple, and if you do like sorting your parts and understanding a lot by using spreadsheets, this helps with the alphanumeric work that you can do in Excel. So, the G25 or a G, which it always indicates a mega crimp, a G20's, the global spiral, thread configurations, and then stem and thread size. You'll see it. Like I said, not used a great deal in Australia, but if you do use it, it will cross-reference with everything else within the gate system. So it's there, very handy if you want to use it. So then we look at the couplings. In this section, you've got all the couplings drawings and tables. The dimensional information is on there. You'll see that automotive part number we just talked about, and then the description, and like I said, we tend to use that description quite often. That product number, and that's an internal, we tend to use that internally as the gate's product number. And then to the right there, we have our dimensions, stem size, thread size, dimensions of, in this instance, the nuts, and then the length. And then we talk about C, which is the C value, which is the cutoff value. And when I talked back about the build sheets, having that C value, the cutoff value to, where you're going to cut your hose so that your overall length will be a particular length. That C value is very handy to have and build into your build sheet. So it's there ready to go. And that will just give you consistent manufacturing. Right, so in this section, I'm only going to just briefly touch on this, and this is about all the ancillary products that we have. So there's a wealth of information there on all a whole range of other products that we have, and you can see them listed there: adapters, quick disconnects, ball valves, swivels, fabrication components, hydraulic accessories. So, there's pinprick tools, there's parts for crimpers. So, the crimpers will after a while start to need different components. There's, cleanliness kits. There's a whole range of products that are available in there. Probably too many to go through in this instance, but just have a look through there. You'll be surprised. Even things like hose bend restrictors to just to prolong the life of water blast hose, and all these items are there. Some of them may be available from gates in Australia. Some may be something that we'll bring in for you depending on the market or the needs. So just have a look. They're there. There's all the O-ring dimensions, the plugs, all sorts of things. So it's a lot of information, and it's very handy to have. And then right at the back, what we tend to, what we've got at the back is we've just got the index at the back, and we can actually go through that, and you can use that to find the part number or page that you're looking for. So in an instance, you might go, right, I'm after a global spiral coupling with a male O-ring boss, and so we have that, the first one down, and we can see that there's the 8GS-10MB on the right-hand side there in the middle, and we can find those in E5. And so we can just go straight to that page in E5 and locate it. We try to make it so that you can find everything. It goes through and easy to find, and we can lead you to making the right choices for the right hose, for the right application, and the right fittings to suit. We can make a quality product and make it nice and safe. And that is, in a nutshell, the very quick and dirty reference to the catalogue book. We hope you can use it. I hope you can find in the sections that there are technical specifications in there relating to whatever hydraulic standard you're looking for. You can look at the product tables to find what specifications they comply to, and you can look for and find the right product for the application based on what you know. And as always stated, if you're not sure, reach out to Gates. We're only too happy to help, and we can advise you accordingly. Now, coming up, We have Ken Clark, and he'll be taking the gates crimping equipment overview. That's on Monday the 31st. And then, excuse me, then in 2 weeks' time after that, we'll be looking at the importance of cleanness in the hydraulic systems. I don't have any questions, so that makes my life a little bit easier, and it'll let everybody get on to doing their thing. If you want to reach out to us at any stage, particularly with the lockdowns that are occurring in Melbourne and New Zealand again, please utilise us. Go to the website. We're happy to do a video conference, reach out to you with a telephone or email. We can do that at any time. So that's it from me today. Thank you for your time and for your patience, and everyone stay safe, and look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks' time talking about the crimpers. Okay, thank you.